Does the job that they're in make good use of their skills? Do they feel good about that? And do the employees understand why their jobs are important? That's a pretty basic thing that sometimes we as managers overlook. Again, the organizations that do well here will make our lists. 88.9%, New Jersey 91.3%, and the national average is 90%. Again, those were for the companies that made the list. Work environment is the fourth category, and in this particular category, what we're looking for here is the general working conditions, environmental issues, amount of focus put on workspace as an important element. I think we all think we work in great offices and all of that, but it's amazing sort of the gamut that these answers will run, and you can identify pretty quickly that a company who just has not focused on their work environment, and it's where people spend the majority of their day, and it's something that has an incredible amount of importance to an employee's sense of engagement and their satisfaction. So the numbers here, Pennsylvania 91.7, New Jersey 93.5, against the national average of 93%. The fifth category that goes into the employee survey piece is the relationship with supervisor. And if you were to ask me which is the most important category, it's this one right here. The relationship with supervisor, do they feel like they're being treated fairly? Are they respected by their supervisors? Are the vehicles of feedback successful, meaning the reviews and the one-on-one meetings perhaps that they're having to help them with their job? And here are the numbers for Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and the national numbers. Again, this relationship with supervisors, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this as we talk about building great places to work, but this is probably the most important piece of information that you can gather about your workforce. And it is a very, very important component of being a best place to work. The sixth of the 8 categories, and how are we doing on time? I think we're doing okay. Training and development, another big facet of best places to work. Onboarding assessment. It's one of those new fancy words to just sort of say, what are you doing when people start? Are you giving them enough information so that they become oriented fairly quickly and get acclimated and trained right away? And then, of course, there's the ongoing training and development. It's an incredibly important piece of an employee's feeling of, I feel good about this company because they're giving me the opportunity to train and develop as an employee. Clearly set expectations, advancement and salary increase for performance. Again, a great measure of what people feel about their workplace. 7. Here's the data for training and development. For Pennsylvania, 78, 83, and the nationals 82. You might see that that's a lower number. It's lower everywhere. It's just one of those things that employees are less excited about the training and development they're getting than perhaps in some of the other categories like relationship with supervisor and perhaps role satisfaction or work environment. Okay, moving ahead. Number 7, pay and benefits. Of course, pay and benefits is an important piece of an employee's experience. I think here, though, we're looking at, what is the fairness of what they're being paid. Looking at the benefits satisfaction, whether they're health care, retirement, sick leave, vacation, whatever it is that you might be doing for your employees, this survey goes through and will collect that information. And certainly the higher scores there will land you on the list. And then again, the overall impressions of the benefits. I think when you ask employees what they think about their benefits, they sort of think of it as one big glob of stuff. But this survey tool actually goes in and says, well, tell us about this, and this. And that's a very, very good measure so that you can go in and maybe there's something you're offering that you think is the greatest thing ever and people could care less about it. I think we see that happening quite a bit. And here are the numbers for this as well. Pennsylvania, 83.9% positive response to these questions. New Jersey, 86.1%. National, 85%. And I have to tell you that when you look at these numbers, that's a pretty high percentage of people who are in agreement and feel as though that their benefits packages pay, and this applies to the other categories as well. 86% of the employees feel good about this category for the companies that make our list. So, for all the categories we talked about, when you review those numbers, those are some pretty high percentages. Okay, moving on to the 8th category, which is really sort of an overall engagement. We hear that word engagement. I think there is a substantial difference between satisfaction and engagement. You can be a satisfied employee, but not an engaged employee. And we're looking to really find not only the satisfaction, but taking it a step further and saying, okay, let's talk about engagement. What's the overall connection to the employer? Back to the discretionary effort. Are they willing to donate their discretionary effort? And career continuation with current employer. We ask about, how long do they plan to stay with their current employer? And I think that's a pretty telling question. And would the employees recommend your organization to others? I mean, it's a very simple question. Some say yes, some say no, and it gives us a pretty good idea of the engagement and how folks are really tied into their employer. And that's what we're looking for. And we can see the numbers here. To be a best place to work, that number is pretty high. And you look at New Jersey, 94.1% of the employees of the companies that made that list felt connected to their employer, and that's an incredibly important piece. And I wouldn't say it's easy, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So those were the 8 different employee categories, and now I see we're getting down to it, so I'm going to move a little bit quicker. Now, from the employer side, we thought you might like to see who's offering what, is what I like to call it. Now, this is information we took from the employer survey that's very factual in nature as opposed to opinion-based like the employee side. So let's take a look. Average tenure of a CEO, again, Pennsylvania's in green, New Jersey's in blue, the national numbers in red. The average tenure of a CEO, I had sort of had that one highlighted that you can see that Pennsylvania has their CEOs tend to last a little bit longer here for the companies that make the list. Bonus or incentive programs, you can look at that number. 401k retirement match, based upon the national average, Pennsylvania and New Jersey does do better than most. 360 evaluations, trading paid time off for cash. It's still a fairly low number. You can see that. Not a lot of employers like to do that, but when you compare to the national averages, both New Jersey and Pennsylvania do a little bit better in those areas. Telecommuting is becoming a huge thing, as you can see. And again, it's one of those areas that Pennsylvania and New Jersey do better. Job sharing, again, doing that number, we see that number going up and up as we move further sort of along the timeline of what benefits packages companies are coming up with. Compressed work weeks sort of fall in that same category. Child care subsidy, we saw New Jersey do quite well in that particular category. Fitness centers on site. This is sort of funny. We haven't really done a crosstab on fitness centers and those who offer free snacks. But I think there's probably a correlation there if we really look for it. Subsidized fitness clubs, it is healthy workplaces and health, sort of the healthiness of the workforce is becoming a real issue, as well as you're starting to put dollar signs onto employees' health in terms of their attendance and missing work and that sort of thing. Elder care assistance. Again, New Jersey did much higher than the national averages. Again, here's the free daily snacks. There's nothing like a free daily snack to get the employees happy about coming to work. So some more who offers what? Employee assistance programs, adoption assistance. We see some good numbers there for New Jersey. Again, Pennsylvania is sort of right on the average in a lot of these categories. Domestic partner benefits is an area that's growing. Tuition reimbursement, Pennsylvania did much higher than the national average there, which is good. Paid volunteer time, we see that number going up. Again, Pennsylvania did quite well in that category. Recycling and renewable energy information there with some percentages, and again, gives you an idea of the percentage of the winning companies that actually provide or include those things in their operations.